Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of not just the news, but answers that you can use. I stopped short of just saying geek news. Well, it is kind of geeky news. Tons of geek news. In fact, last night I was up past midnight doing three things. One, ordering the Star Wars digital films. I got it on iTunes. They inevitably released a package, an $89 package to watch them all. And then, of course, ordering the Apple Watch. Or an Apple Watch, not the Apple Watch. I don't know what the Apple Watch is. Apart from the middle tier, the stainless steel, that is Apple Watch. I'll get into that in a bit. And then the third thing I tried to do past midnight is starting to watch Daredevil on Netflix, since those three things happened in the same night. It was like the ultimate geek day happened. This is the biggest geek day of the year, apparently. That's like fandoms crossing over. This is like a massive change. I am sitting here in front of my iPad, and you can see I'm glowing blue if you're watching the video, whether it's live or not for you. You can tune in live. You can watch all the broadcasts. You get tons of bonuses, sneak peeks. I guess special access to me. Still working on more bonuses for everybody, including the bonus today. We're going to have a general tech talk hangout after this TLDR broadcast. You're more than welcome to join us. All those bonuses available to you starting at $2 a month. Become a patron, aka one of the super nomies, starting at just $2 a month. ChrisPirillo.com will redirect you to the right page. I'm sitting in front of the iPad, and it's glowing blue in my face, which is just really weird for me. I'm horrible. I'm not horrible. I'm just saying I'm horrible when it comes to production. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm producer, director, talent, everything. Today we're going to be posting my Imperial Stout beer review for the Yeti. It was a very geeky beer and a good beer. I will be trying that again. I've also posted my review of the Ultron Pop vinyl figure, if you're interested in those two things. The links are over, those two links are over in my classic YouTube channel. We'll put the link for you in this particular video or audio file's description. I say audio file because this is a podcast. It's simulcast as a podcast. Some people actually prefer listening to TLDR rather than watching it. So I'm here to make everybody happy, or try to bring happiness to your day, including some discounts and giveaways. Key Smart 2.0 Compact Key Organizer is currently 26% off if you are looking for a smarter keychain. We also have the Wacom Intuos Pro Pen and Touchpad giveaway. That is free. And the Zero Lemon Solar Juice 10,000 milliamp hour battery, 47% off. All three of those things at deals.lockergnome.com. Now, on to the AMA, since that is the day we do AMA. Friday, not Monday. Monday we do another AMA, but that's for the general public. For those of you who are watching live, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and Liz will go ahead and filter them for me. Kieran Bold asks, do you or Diana have any plans on getting Apple Watch? If so, or if yes, what would you find beneficial with it? Well, Earl, thank you for replying on the thread. I did order an Apple Watch. I just kind of mentioned that. I got the Sport Edition. Here's why. Because honestly, after reading a lot of the reviews and the feedback, I thought, why would I spend more than I need to spend on a product that I may not need? That's really the bottom line. What sets the middle tier, or the regular old Apple Watch, apart from the Sport is primarily how it was constructed. Stainless steel, rather than aluminum. So you have that going for it. And then you also have the sapphire face. So it potentially could be a bit more sturdy, durable. I don't really know if that would necessarily have been the thing that would have pulled me in. I would have wanted the Milanese loop, and I do understand, and Tony Yoon, thank you for commenting on the Patreon page. I do know that I can interchange the bands, but I also know that the Milanese loop may not look as well, or look as good side by side with the aluminum as it would with the stainless steel. I don't know. I haven't seen them side by side, so I couldn't make that judgment call. Plus, everything I read about the Sport Band, even though it wouldn't be my top pick, is that it feels nice against the skin, and it's very, very light. It's like the watch isn't there, and I like that idea. So I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I had to sell a few gadgets in order to make up the cost. So it's not like I'm just accruing gadget after gadget here. No, I generally churn tech around pretty quickly. So I didn't have a lot of excess budget, didn't have a sponsor. I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm very grateful that the patrons are here, but the patrons, honestly, you're helping me support my team more than anything. And that's really what it is at this stage. You're helping make sure that I'm able to do what I do. I don't take your support and just turn it around to frivolity. I got the Apple Watch, but I ended up recycling, or not really upcycling, recycling some of the gadgets that I had to be able to afford it. And even then, it's a big question mark. I went with a 42 nanometer, what is it, the Space Gray edition with the black band or the Space Gray band. And apparently that's like, as I was reading my social feed, that is a very popular choice. I think my fellow vloggers, let's see here, I think Jared got the same thing, Brian Lanning got the same thing, and Sam got the same thing. I think we all got the same thing. It was really funny. It's like, we didn't like coordinate it. I'm like, damn, this is a very popular choice. So apparently the Apple Watch that I got was a very popular choice. So I got it minutes after it went on sale. As you likely saw on Twitter, I was planning, and I did promise to do a Periscope, and I didn't. I just got swept up in the whole fervor of ordering. But immediately, like as soon as the Apple Store went online, I had it. Like it took less than 30 seconds for me to get the Apple Watch using the Apple Store app. Using the web to order anything from Apple anymore is, I'm not going to say stupid. I'm not going to say it is stupid, because it isn't stupid, but it's just also not as easy, not as fast, not as convenient as using the Apple Store app. It took less than 30 seconds. Tap, 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 tap. Boom, done. I had tweeted out before half of anybody knew that the Apple Store was back up, saying, dude, use the Apple Store app. They make it so incredibly easy. So incredibly easy. And it is exceedingly simple to use the app compared to the website to order anything from Apple. So that's how I did it. And I was very, very, very happy with the choice. No buyer's remorse yet. I wish I could have found a sponsor for it. There's one guy, a company that may end up doing something. I'm going to plan on doing 4 videos around the Apple Watch. The live unboxing, which may very well happen live for the patrons. Everybody else will get it after. And because I want a chance for interactivity. And then I want to do my Apple Watch review a day after. I want to do an Apple Watch review a week after, and an Apple Watch review a month after, because I think my feelings and perspectives are going to change over time, especially as I use the product more and more. Corey Moore asks, hey Chris, I routinely go over my broadband ISP's data limit of 250 gigs nearly every month. In fact, do you ever run into these issues yourself? I seem to recall years ago you not being very happy about broadband limits. I'm not. And Earl Green actually has a great response comment on Patreon there. This is something that I was speaking to in today's Q&A with you and me about 4K televisions. One of the problems being the data that gets pushed. I mean, you'd watch a half-hour show, and pretty soon your monthly data cap is gone. You've blown past it. It's a lot of data to push down the pipe. That's a big issue, I think, for a lot of people that are in your situation. I did run into issues and ended up paying more to not run into those issues, and that's really what it boiled down to. I cannot see it any other way. It's a cost of doing business, which is rather unfortunate. And right now, as I've kind of been referring to in the vlog, my business is kind of going through a slight, not restructuring, but I'm having to reallocate a certain amount of resources to be able to better balance what it is that we're doing. The ad market's kind of bottomed out. There are a lot of options in the marketplace, and we're still waiting to start we've spun up the 2 events, but waiting for a couple more details to get nailed down before we can make any announcements. I think Vlogger Fair should be about ready to go. Gnome Decks, we are waiting for one final bit of information to be able to fully announce that. But hopefully we'll start selling tickets sooner rather than later, and that'll be a big help. I've got a few other things that I need to do that I've not been looking forward to doing. But, it's business, right? For me. So for you, it may just be fun. At which point you have to start monitoring what it is that you're doing, which I think sucks, and I think is stupid. Caps are, I think, deadly. I think we're going to look back on this time as a very dark time. 10 years in the future, there's going to come a time when the internet is going to be out there like electricity is just going to be out there, and we're just going to be able to tap into it. And it's kind of there now with Wi-Fi, but not really. Not at least safely or securely. So I think eventually we'll be there, but right now we have to deal with data caps. I was not very happy when I had to deal with it. I don't anymore. That's how I deal with it, as I pay more, and it sucks. Hang on. I have to sneeze. Dang, man, it's been like back building for like a minute. Ugh. Okay, well, I guess I'm not going to sneeze. Mitchell C. McClendon Some computers ship with either 32-bit or 64-bit on them. My current Dell desktop came 32-bit, and my previous an HP came 64-bit. They run Windows 7 Home Premium. What is the biggest difference between the two? Thanks. Man, I have not had a 32-bit or 64-bit discussion in ages. I guess the primary difference wouldn't even necessarily be speed as much as it might be compatibility and being able to deal with larger files. That's a gross overgeneralization, but like if you did a lot of video editing and video processing, running it on a 64-bit system would make your entire video editing workflow far more efficient because of memory addressing. So beyond that, if all you're doing is browsing the web, going 64-bit, 32-bit, back and forth, most people aren't going to see the difference. There is a value in going 64-bit, absolutely, but it's been so long since I've even talked about it. Really? They still ship 32-bit platforms like that? Color me surprised. I thought everybody had gone 64-bit like eons ago. So, if you're not a video editor, again, gross overgeneralization, I wouldn't worry about being on a 64-bit version of Windows. Kimberly Johns writes, our secondary computer was having battery issues. I replaced the battery, and it was working decent again, except a few things due to age and neglect. It is completely shut down now, though, and refuses to turn back on. Do you think it's gone for good? Is there something I can do to try to at least recover what was on it? So, this is really kind of funny. People have stepped into the thread. Earl stepped into the thread, and he actually answered the question pretty appropriately. You know, talking about pulling the hard drive out and checking the data on the hard drive, and then you'd salvage the data that was there and then be able to clone it over to another computer. Earl detailed it very, very well, Kimberly, and that sucks. It really does suck. But the computer itself, as a central point for all those components, may be done, it may be toast, but those individual components may still be salvageable. Eric Van Eric asks, what's your favorite thing to eat in the morning besides bacon? Honestly, I don't like a lot of sweet things in the morning. Don't eat a lot of cereal. I've had cheese in the morning. I like cheese in the morning. Yeah. What else do I like in the morning? Leftover pizza, cold pizza sometimes, reheated pizza sometimes. I guess I don't know. Bacon would be a top choice, though. Bacon and cheese. I like protein. Protein gets me going. Tony, question number 32. With you mentioning daily about your Patreon campaign for just $2 a month, it got me thinking, how many patrons do you need to help keep you afloat? How many patrons do you realistically need to have enough financial backing to expand your production? I would probably, in order to expand, I'd probably need double. Flat out honest. In terms of what I realistically need, I know we're not hitting that mark now. To me, it's a realistic approach, and I'm not the only one who believes this. I talked about how YouTube's trying alternative forms of support, beyond ad revenue, because even they see it as a big problem. It's always something I've never really driven for that as a number. I've driven as how many can I really find 1,000 people? Can I find 1,000 people to support me? And now it's at the point where I think Patreon has really fallen short in terms of helping me with engagement. I would like to be able, and I talked about this in yesterday's TLDR, to be able to do more, but I've got to do it on a realistic basis, and it's always going to be a trade-off, right? So realistically, I have certain costs, and right now those costs aren't being met with what we're doing today for everybody because of the decline in the ad market, or I guess the ability to generate revenue, significant revenue through ads. And so I'm having to look into other forms and other ideas to help keep going, including the events, which I think is a very smart strategy for us, because I've done them for over a decade, and I know I can pull off events. But the way that we're handling content now is going to be, I think it's going to change pretty deeply, not so much for patrons, but I think for everybody else. And I talked more about that yesterday. I'm going to have to make certain changes with my team and what it is that they're doing. Which is disappointing because it was part of my goal in this Patreon campaign to be able to expand, but unfortunately I don't think there are enough people out there who see enough value in what we're trying to do, or they're not telling me what more value I might be able to provide, if there isn't a value at all. People want to listen to me, but I know there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can support. I appreciate any time that it gets spent with me. But realistically right now, where we are with the patron campaign, it's great. and it's more than enough, but it unfortunately is not enough to support a team. It's really it's an unfortunate fact, but that's about as much as I can say about it. I'm not really at liberty to divulge details. And Patreon honestly is a lie. They promote lies. What you see on the website is an inaccurate reflection of just how many people truly support. And so don't look at any Patreon page. I have to explain this over and over again. Patreon is horrible when it comes to transparency. They lie. They lie to their producers, and they lie to the community at large. And it's very, very difficult to maintain an amount of truth when you have to explain to people that the numbers that are reported on Patreon are quite frequently not true. Period. End of story. They're not true. And so I find that what Patreon promotes is a great idea, but right now I think Patreon has one of the worst executions in its idea that I'd ever seen and ever experienced. But unfortunately, for better or for worse, I'm there right now, and I don't have an alternative, and it's better than nothing. So, okay, I don't really like talking about that stuff. Thank you for asking, obviously, but it's just, I know you don't want to see what it takes to do what it is that someone does. You just want to see them do what they do. I don't think anybody's interested in listening to me talk about, well, other than you asking this question. Question number 33. What do you think, or what do you like so much about bacon? I just like the taste. It's fun. Have you ever tried actually freshly grilled pork belly that hasn't been overly processed with chemicals and nitrates like bacon? I have. If not, I highly recommend it. I do as well. Also, why do you hate corn so much? It just became a thing. I didn't like hate corn. Hate it like, I've hated it, but it just became a thing. Everyone needs an arch nemesis. Corn is my arch nemesis. Corn outright, though. I like popcorn, you know that. And corn nuts, too. I like corn products, but not corn. Question number 34. When I was watching your recent What's on My iPhone TLDR, I noticed that you also have a slight lag after pressing the home button or tapping an app to open. Does this drive you mad? Do you think that the phone is that's trying to render smooth transition animations is actually slowing down the phone to feel less snappy? Yeah, I think Apple's made a trade-off there, and it could very well be the OS not being optimized. It could be that the hardware is not fast enough. I chalk it up to a lack of software optimization. I wish things were more instantaneous, but they're just not. And I think it's a combination between the lack of software optimization, resource management, battery life, and of course the power of the platform in general in terms of hardware, as far as hardware speed is concerned. It doesn't bother me. I wish it was snappier, and this is one of the reasons why, every year I sell my old iPhone, I get a new one, right? I constantly upgrade that experience because I use this computer so frequently. I use this computer probably more frequently than I use that computer. P.S. Loving the Apple show. I'm glad to hear that, Tony. It's been an experiment. I've been thinking about doing something like John's doing primarily driving it. I've got some interplay. I've got an app of the week that'll be in the next one, or it should. The idea, some people say they like it, they like the idea, but they want more of me. So in order to pull something like that off, the only other way that we'd be able to do it effectively is likely doing it like by a hangout. So I even asked John, I'm like, maybe next week, do you want to try doing an Apple show hangout, like a half hour, John and I talking about Apple news over the past week, specifically Apple stuff. And then we do it that way. Instead of having an edited video, we have a live video. So I'm still experimenting with it just because I know a lot of people want to see me and I want to be involved. But this was something that we wanted to try to see if it worked, and if we got it out of the door, or if got it out the door, how well would it work? Paul Bolduc. If I were to use BitTorrent to download all the movies I own on DVD, would those downloads be legal? No, they still would not be legal. It's unfortunate, but you're buying the disc. You're not buying the movie. You're buying the ability to watch that movie in the format that it comes in. You don't actually own the movie. So that's what it is. You're just basically given the ability to watch that movie in the format that's provided for you according to the license strategy. So that is, it's a very gray area, because in my opinion, I think once you buy the movie in one format, you should be able to watch it in all formats. It doesn't work that way today. Eventually it might. Earl asked, I had a question, but you have addressed it already in Thursday TLDR. That's awesome. I'm that good. Pez Liz asks, did you know that some of the supernomies don't get the daily email with links and exclusive event notices? They should check their settings on Patreon. I didn't know that. That sucks. Yeah, we send out emails pretty much every day, especially with bonuses and stuff. So you may be missing out on a lot if you're one of the patrons. Again, the Patreon system is, well, they know they need to improve, and I've already complained about it, and they're moving at a snail's pace. I've got, pardon me, got some questions from the live chat. Dylan McGreevy asks, what do you think of the future of wearable technology? Where do you think it'll be? We have watches, augmented reality, and other pieces of tech. Do you think implants will begin to penetrate the market in the next 25 years? Yeah, I think so. Technology, for it to work, for it to succeed, it has to be easy, it has to be accessible, it has to be something that blends in with our world. And right now, this is an interrupted piece of technology. That's an interruptive piece of technology. Even a watch, pardon me, to a large degree, is an interruptive piece of technology. It needs to be increasingly pervasive. So, yes, these glasses, based on technology. I believe eyewear is a fantastic place to put technology. I thought Google Glass was going the right direction. It unfortunately did not succeed in its last iteration. I think augmented reality is a great way, but again, that's blending technology with our world. It's making it less interruptive for everybody. It's making it pervasive for us as we use technology on a daily basis. Wearables, unless you're into fashion, I think wearables are not just a fad. I mean, as much as technology is a fad, as much as computers are a fad, a lot of it's just going to disappear. It's going to melt away. It's just going to be there. Like, instead of wearing at home, instead of wearing a watch to do things, you're just going to have this smart system. And it's kind of there now with like the Amazon Echo and whatnot. But to be able to talk and have things respond to just be and not have to worry about technology interrupting that process or having to think through how to use technology, the technology just works. So it's going to take time. Yeah, 25 years I think is a fair amount of time, more than fair. I mean, the world has been transformed just in the past 20 years with the advent of technology and the the acceptance of the internet as a real pivotal role, playing a pivotal role in our day-to-day lives. So the future of wearable technology is it's going to continue to disappear. Pardon me, melt away. Yeah, man, it's hard to do these shows in the morning because I'm always stuffed up, and spring is right around the corner. It's here, right around the corner. It is absolutely here. Eric Van Eric asks, what's the best way to sell tech online? A variety of ways of doing it. You got a comparison shop. Don't just go to one website and think, okay, this is the end-all be-all. You have to kind of add it to your cart, list the condition, and then sell it that way. eBay possibly, not necessarily. Amazon definitely not. You might be able to use certain sites or resources that will take old tech, but again, you got a comparison shop. One website may offer you $35 for something, and another website may offer you $65 for something. Same thing, same condition. Well, obviously, you'd want to go with the site that offers you more in return for whatever your old piece of tech is. So there's never really one ultimate end-all be-all resource for you to go to. That's been my experience, because it depends on the gadget, and it depends on the site, and they may even be running promos at the time. Jared F. asks, Chris, how did you cover up the Apple logo on your iMac? I'm going to say this. This is the first time I'm saying it. I'm burying it so deeply within TLDR that the people who want to know will never find out because they didn't bother to listen, and it's not my fault, and it's not my problem. It's tape. I guess it's like car modders use this kind of tape. I just went to Amazon and I searched for some kind of like adhesive, like a tape that was kind of a brushed metal kind of look, and so I had to apply 2 layers to it. The corners, if you looked really close, they're not smooth. It's as smooth to you because I mean the resolution's very, very low, but up close you'd have to look really, really close to kind of get a look. You can even barely see that it's not a super even line. I wasn't able to apply it super evenly, but I had to use 2 layers because the tape itself wasn't thick enough to cover up the logo entirely. But doing it, I kind of have to do it because there are some videos that I might do for sponsors and they don't want me to talk about Apple. So the last thing I can do is remove the computer. That's not practical. The only thing I could effectively do is cover up the logo. And that's the only way, to my knowledge, that I'd found to cover up the logo. I dreamed of being able to like 3D print some kind of tray that I could put over it so that, this area becomes a tray of sorts. And that product doesn't exist, and I'm not an engineer, and I don't know of anybody who would help me be able to engineer something like that in a 3D capacity. just a kind of like a prototype. Like, here's a tray that gives me access to all the USB ports or whatever, and just a tray, like a little shelf thing that would cover up the Apple logo in tow. It'd be kind of neat, but it would probably be something that I would need to get 3D printed and engineered in some way, shape, or form. That's how I did it. Eventually, I'm sure it'll come off, when I sell this thing. But I constantly have to do this because it bothers me. The edges bother me because they're kind of frayed around the edges. I'm afraid around the edges. Jared Fit. Hey, Chris. Apple Watch pre-orders have started. I'm wondering what models you pre-ordered. Answered. Also, is Diana getting one? If so, I'd love to see a video where both of you review them together like you did the Samsung Galaxy Note 3. Hope all is well, Jared. So here's my thinking. No, Diana didn't get one. One, cost. Two, usage. Three, I feel that people are going to be giving away Apple Watches left and right. Honestly, like entities are going to be giving them away. No doubt in my mind, they're going to be giving away left and right. The reason why is, like, think back. When new iPods come out, how many times did you see a company give away an iPod for a promo? When new iPads came out, they were giving them away in promos. I think the same thing's going to happen with the watch, and it's likely going to be the Watch Sport. So Diana would likely be inclined to get the white one. She likes the white product stuff, because let's face it, the edition is not going to happen for us. I'm sorry, we are not Katy Perry. She already posted a a photo on her Instagram of her showing her edition watch. Oh, Katie, because you're just so... See, to me, it's just... Okay, just look at my tweet. People, I know you're being serious about this, and I have responded. But to me, a lot of these people, they're just going to look pretentious. And that's... It's a fashion thing, but to me, it's just, oh, you have money. Good for you. I'm not that kind of person at all to brag about that. One, because I don't think that's right. Two, I'm just not a fashion guy at all. So eventually, I think what we're going to have is the ability to get a second Apple Watch, and that's when it will likely happen. So we'll see. It's honestly, you got to look at the reviews. It's not, people aren't as impressed with it as you would imagine. It's a little quirky, needs some software updates, and it's a first gen product. A lot of people are rushing to it because it's a shiny new object, but that's another reason why I think that we're going to be able to get a second one with little to no cost at some point in the near future. Joe Tashi asks, hey Chris, where did you decide to get the Star Wars collection? Also, which Apple Watch are you getting? It's a very common question. In fact, that should be the title of TLDR today. Liz, you may want to make note. Which Apple Watch are you getting? Even though I'm sure I've answered that question before in other videos. Part of me really wants it, but not sure if it's worth buying the first gen. I also enjoyed your car review. You should do one with Jerry with his drones. Possibly, yeah. He just tweeted me. I guess he's doing something. He did his first video of constructing his 3D Stormtrooper uniform, which is cool. I'm glad you enjoyed the car review. I don't know if that's going public today or Monday yet, but it was interesting to do. I have to do my Prius V review because I'm returning that over the next couple of days. It's, and you're right about saying you're not sure if it's worth buying the first gen. I'd wait. If you don't have to, wait. Do I have to? No, I don't have to. The problem is if I don't, I know I'm going to lose a lot of attention and velocity because, hey, let's face it, it's the shiny new object. It's from Apple. Anytime I've ever done a video about Apple, it's tracked better than anything else I've ever done in the world of tech. Most of the videos that I've done that have tracked better than others have been Lego stuff. So, it fits squarely within the realm of I kind of have to do it because so many people are asking about it that I know they want my opinion, and I can't share my opinion about something that I haven't used. That's usually where it boils down for me. What it boils down for me. Joe Tashi asks, "Are you going to get Amazon Echo? I haven't opened mine yet. I want to do an unboxing, but I'm a bit nervous. Any tips about?" Also, the AMA periscopes with Jedi are awesome. Glad you're watching the periscopes. Those are fun to do for a few minutes a day. The I do not plan on getting an Amazon Echo, although I guess people have favored it or reviewed it favorably. I'm very, very honestly, I will tell you, I have stripped down a lot of the tech in my life. It just became not just overwhelming, but difficult to manage the various pieces of technology. I've become, as much as I appreciate what tech does and what it enables, I'm not getting as much as I used to because I found a lot of it to be not worth getting, not worth keeping, not worth maintaining, it becoming more of a source of frustration and expense than it was worth to me. So I've actually scaled back a lot of my tech. I've actually started to dumbify my home. I like what the Amazon Echo could do, but I'm seconds away from a Siri, or at some point a Siri on my wrist. Joe also saw the Periscope this morning. Oh, good to know you were tuned in. Gareth Robeson asks, as an avid user of multiple social media platforms accounts, what do you see the next big thing being? And if you had to ditch them all and you only use one service, which one would you choose? Asks Crouchy786, Gareth Robeson. I think that I'd probably stick with Twitter. Twitter's become my favorite, if only because Facebook buries everything that anybody does anymore. Facebook can't be trusted in terms of sharing content. Brian H. I find myself this Wednesday evening looking around my room for inspiration for this week's question. I spy a Lego Star Wars Republic gunship. On that note, what is one big Star Wars Lego set you think is essential for every Star Wars fan to have at some point in their lives? I wanted the gunship, an ATTE, since episode 2 came out, but didn't have a job to afford them at the time. I finally got them for myself last year when I turned 22. The big Star Wars Lego set, the Death Star. Adam Toms. Hey Chris, hope you're well. Well enough. As I understand it, YouTube are going to offer a paid subscription service to allow you to watch ad-free. However, I can't help but wonder if they're going to do something about the people who use ad-blocking software. Pardon me? I seem to remember reading about 50% of desktop viewers on YouTube use ad-blocking software. Any thoughts? Hope you and the family have an awesome weekend. I kind of talked about this yesterday, so I don't want to rehash too much. But it's going to be nice, but I just don't think your favorite YouTubers are going to see any amount of significant support that way. Most people want something, but they're not willing to pay for it. For example, you want my advice, and obviously patrons are an exception to the rule. I'm not saying that you're the only exception to the rule. Someone wants to know which device they should buy. They're going to be spending hundreds of dollars on which device they should buy. And they're asking me for a qualified opinion based on my experience, my perspective. But they're not willing to spend $2 to get my opinion. They'll spend hundreds of dollars, and they value my opinion enough to ask me, but they're not willing to spend $2 a month to make sure that I can answer their question. And to give me the feeling like the advice that I'm giving is worth giving. That's where there's a disconnect, I think, between a lot of the advice that I want to give. I don't just want to report the news. I want to talk about it. I want to go in depth. I want to analyze. I want to talk through it. And that's why I like going the path of valuing the people who value me more than average. And that's where I find ad blocking methodologies to be slightly reprehensible, because you're ruining that chain. And there's been a lot of frustration that has come from that. It's another reason why I just don't. I've stopped paying attention to ad revenue. I've been forced to. It's not something that I think is a sustainable model for a lot of content producers like myself. A couple other questions here, real quickly, and then I'll wind down so that we can move on to our general tech talk hangout as a separate video. That is a Patreon exclusive. Carlos Arujo loves Katy Perry. I'm not slagging Katy Perry, but I find it a little. Oh, look at this! Oh, Mickey, you're so fine. Here's my super expensive Apple Watch. Oh, good for you. People probably feel that way when I show off a Mac. Oh, good for you. But it's different. It's a tool to me. That's a fashion statement. As far as I'm concerned, the Apple Watch Edition is a fashion statement, and that's it. Eric Van Eric asks, what kind of cars are you going to test? I tweeted that out. Someone asked that as well. One of the new patrons. I tweeted out a screenshot of all the models I'm testing. I get the Kia Soul EV for like 2 or 3 weeks. I'm very excited about that. It's been charging overnight. Didn't need to necessarily. I was doing pretty well with it, but it's been fun. I wish I could test all of those types of vehicles, but I think it's going to range. I'm going to get a variety of experiences. Jared F asks, and this is the last question, Chris, with the issues you and others see in iOS in the last few years, would you consider switching to Android anytime soon? Nope, because Android is not an entire ecosystem. It's part of an ecosystem, and Google's tried to get its story together, but Android is more like Windows in the sense that you could run Windows on anything. You could run Android on anything. It's a platform that was designed to run in a variety of environments and a variety of situations and hardware and configurations. iOS is different. iOS is designed for this one thing, and this one thing is interoperating with that one thing, with this one thing, with that one thing. And Android and Google doesn't have the same story. Which is great because people have choice over there. My choice is to have cohesive experiences, not disjointed experiences. That's just me. The older you get, to me, the more important that is, because I just don't want to waste time with things that kind of work and are kind of nice. But when you stop looking at one device as the value of this one device being the device itself, you start to see the bigger world. It's not just about this one device. It's about this device in an archipelago of experiences. That is where gadgets sit for me. And if a gadget that comes along doesn't fit within that construct, I'm not interested. I know, it makes me a horrible person. I absolutely love trying the latest things. I absolutely do. But in terms of where I'm spending my money, it's not going to be on the everything that gets released. I just can't go that. There are too many choices. I have to narrow it down unless I have an opportunity to look at something in a review unit or in any other capacity. The reason I'm able to review cars is not because I'm going to manufacturers. I'm working through a company. They want me to review cars. I'm happy to do that. No problem there, because I couldn't afford to do it otherwise. I get an experience. I get to share the experience. I'm happy. So that to me is the stopgap. It's not as simple as it used to be. Switching platforms is not as simple as it's never been easier and yet more difficult to be able to switch between platforms. Not slagging Android at all. You're asking me for my personal choice, and that's my response. Everyone's going to have a different personal choice for themselves, and I would definitely not want to take away from that. For some, Android is perfect. That's great. For me, it doesn't tie in with everything else as easily as, or it wouldn't make my life easier. It wouldn't make my life better overall. Even if it was a better gadget outright, if it didn't fit within everything else, it just isn't a better overarching experience. And quite honestly, I'm not tired of talking about these individual devices, but I'm trying to move that story forward. It's definitely a deeper discussion to have that I don't know if a lot of people necessarily want to have. They're gearheads. They're tied into, they're going to be disappointed watching my car reviews. Well, how much torque? What's the horsepower? Oh my God, you didn't know if it was a sunroof or a moonroof? Oh my God. Most people don't. I approach technology and try to talk about it like most people. Not like the hardcore nerds and geeks. That's never been me. Look back in history. That's never been me, ever. I never want to talk about that stuff. I want to talk about it from the average consumer's perspective. I want to talk about cool, gee whiz, awesome, this really improves your life, or this is kind of fun. I want to talk about those things. So, those are my thoughts. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for giving me your attention. Thank you. I do appreciate your support. Let's go ahead and move into that hangout. Have general tech topics. Kind of take this AMA over there, answering more questions. General tech. It's whatever you guys want to talk about. Really, the floor is yours. Thank you again. I definitely have to get scooting because at noon I have something. What do I have to do at noon? There was something I had to do at noon. Do I have a call? I don't have a call, do I? Oh, I have to upload the vlog. Okay. I love you. I appreciate you. I've got to roll into the hangout and then upload the vlog at the same time and then do other things. But at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.